Welcome to episode 2 of our Aloha Tech strategy sessions. And my name is Scott.
And
I'm
I'm
here.
Jillian.
Yep. And we have a guest. His name is Nick, and he's actually from the mainland. And I met Nick yesterday at BNI, and he's here to help. And we thought, what a really great situation where we might be able to provide some of our expertise and thoughts to a business that's coming in here and kind of just wanting to do what they do. Like, what do you think?
And help out with the situation here in the wake of the Maui wildfires. So Nick joins us. He's the owner of Phantom Services. And Nick, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about your business and why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, we met with Scott. Got to hang out a little bit at BNI and talk about what we do. But so we're Phantom Services. I'm the owner. Just like you said, Jillian, we are off the mainland. We came out here to help with the aftermath of the storm and the wildfires. Just a quick different kind of just to differentiate between the businesses that we do have. So Phantom Services is kind of the broad overview, and that side of the business is focused more on restoration, kind of cleanup work. We do water, fire, mold restoration, whereas Phantom Services, if you want to learn about more about crawl spaces and waterproofing, that's that side of the business, and that could be found on the website. But I think we're here to talk about Phantom Services and just what we can do to help the locals here right now.
All right, excellent. And so, from that perspective, what is your specialty and what sort of services are you offering to the community here in Maui?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is just fire restoration. So fire, smoke, suck cleanup. We're getting a ton of people with those issues. And I'll kind of backtrack just a second. So we were actually invited out here by an insurance agency or an insurance adjuster. Um, he's helping out a bunch of the locals here, just working with and through insurance to help get all these coverages done. And we've been asked to come out to help with the overflow of work. So the services that we're mostly focusing on is fire, smoke, and suck cleanup. And then we could do temporary roof repairs. So whether that's tarping up a roof or doing synthetic felt on a roof right now, that's what we're allowed to do. We're not doing any full roof replacements at the moment. And if we are, we do have a pretty good roofing company here that we're pushing that work to as well. So that I hope that kind of answers the question.
It does. And so, you said that you were invited out here by an insurance adjuster. Are you only working with that single insurance provider?
No, we're not. So we're our own entity. So we are, we're actually sitting here right behind Lahaina, talking to you guys right now in the neighborhoods up here, and we're just going door to door and seeing if we can help anybody out right now. So we can help whoever we want out. He's just a good person that we have here to push more business to us, and that way we can partner and push business back to him because he's the one that would be actually going out and writing up the estimates and working with and through insurance to get these coverages done. We're kind of the laborers here to do the work.
Got it. And are you helping with any of the estimation and those sorts of activities?
Yeah. So, we're pretty experienced with what we do. So and this is the typical process of restoration work. What happens is you give the customer kind of a range, it's going to be between this and this. And then the insurance adjuster will come out and it's a very, very detailed, in-depth quote that has to take place that takes several hours, where we're marking everything down, taking measurements of everything. It's very labor intensive just in that, just writing the estimate. So we give a range, whether that's 5 to 10, whether that's 10 to $15,000. But the official estimate will be kind of put together later behind the scenes as we kind of get the ball rolling. Because the goal for us is to give a range, and that range is I can't even remember a time where we went out of the range, but we want to start the work as soon as possible to just restore the property and get it back in a healthy condition. So.
Got it. And so, as far as those estimates and doing the work and everything, do you have to have insurance of your own, certifications, licensure here in the state? those sorts of things that apply to insurance everywhere and then random state requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. So to do insurance work, typically you need to have a certification. I know that Hawaii doesn't require certifications for fire restoration. We are certified regardless. So we're just certified by a national company. Fire protocol is similar throughout most states. Insurance doesn't have um, a set rule set that they follow by, but we kind of try to be proactive and be updated in kind of what is the best way to handle these type of situations. So we are certified as in regards to doing business here. We we worked with a CPA, our accountant, and our legal team back home, obviously before we came out here to get all the right paperwork and everything to be able to do business here. So yeah,
Great. Well, it sounds like you were very prepared. And so you just got here a couple days ago, correct?
we did. Yeah.
And so you guys did an incredible amount of legwork in a very short period of time because it's not been a whole lot of time since the fires.
Yeah. We've been out to Florida before, and we've done something similar like this in the past. So it wasn't fire; it was water. Because I mean, if you guys are following the news right now, Florida is getting hit pretty hard, and that's probably our next stop after this. And that's kind of where I focus on is the travel side of the business with our restoration work. Whereas back at home, we have an office and a couple employees running, that other side of the business at home. So yeah, we try to be prepared and we try to come in, um, with the thought process of we're here to help. Obviously it's a business and, a business makes money, but, you know, and Scott, if you remember, even on that BNI morning, we talked about a business doesn't have anything to it if it's just about the money. So and it tends to fail over time. So that's our heart behind it is we're here to help as well as to grow the business. So
I'll just step in here. Most of this is like marketing strategy. I know Jillian has these questions that she needs to ask in order for her to start like forming that strategy. And so my question is did the insurance contact reach out to you, or like what's your mindset? Did you hear about the wildfires and you're thinking, okay, like we've done this before in other settings. Let's think about a way to go out to Maui and what we can do, or is it somebody reached out to you say like, hey, we need help? Or is it like a mixture of both of those?
the latter. So exactly what you said. It's a mixture of both. So we do have he lives here on the island, our insurance adjuster, and he actually does a lot of our estimations virtually. So when we do, projects in Florida or back home in North Carolina, we send him information and he writes virtual estimates for us. So after we have a pretty good relationship with him. So after having that conversation with him, he said, there's definitely an opportunity here, but also there's things that need to get done and people that need help. So for us, he he is not supplying work because he doesn't work directly for an insurance agency, whether that's State Farm or Allstate. He doesn't work directly for them. He's an
Oh,
independent adjuster who said, there's an opportunity here, and we know of people who need help. So we came out here and this is, our second day here. So we're just trying to gauge and see what the need actually is and what our next steps are for, whether we're going to be shipping out containers of machines here. We have enough machines to do a project at a time right now. But we're just trying to gauge to see what the actual need is for the fire restoration side of the business. I mean, if this may help, we knocked 250 doors yesterday, seeing if people need help with,
Wow.
fire or roof repairs. So that's kind of our marketing strategy right now is just literally showing up and being there for the neighborhood and for the residents and just saying, hey, we are here to help. If you guys need help, let us know. We'll get you guys taken care of.
nice. And so what was the result of that? I mean, 250 doors is a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah, so we have about 10 appointments set today with residents, mostly roof repairs, or, temporary roof coverings. So with that being said, it seems like a lot of the people here are not very familiar with insurance or how it works. And a lot of people are scared, and they think people are out to kind of make money and screw somebody over. And that's kind of the uphill battle that we're facing right now, is just trying to help people understand that, yes, we're here to help. Yes, we're here to make money, but we're not here to steal or just to kind of suck off of, the damage that's done here. People, remediation companies specifically, some of them are backed up for 3-4 months at this point. Person's not going to be able to stay in their house for 3 to 4 months. If we can come in and help people get back in their home and get back into the safety of their home sooner, we that's the goal. That's what we want to do.
Got it. And so really it's about getting people back into their homes so that they can pick their lives back up after these disasters.
That's exactly right.
Okay. And when you reached out to some of these other remediation companies that are local, um, how did those conversations go? Like, did you talk to a few of them, and what happened there? How did those go?
Yeah. So we spoke to a couple, and our insurance adjuster works with some of the ones here on the island. And just from the information that we got, even the remediation companies are scared of themselves. There's, for instance, I could tell you a story. One of these owners is just so over his head, where he's had like a sleepless week at this point, where there's just so much work, so much people that need help. And, you're kind of torn between, where do I go? Where do I start? Because there's so much, damage that has happened. For instance, we know somebody else who's ordered, $50,000 worth of machines, and they're waiting for those machines to come in to start helping service more clients. The conversations were friendly. We said we're here to help. So, if there's an overflow of work that needs to be done, we can take that on. And whether we're going to be paying these folks a percent of the job or a commission, we don't mind. We'll split profits. That doesn't matter to us, but we're just here to kind of um, pick up the people that are left behind with the damage.
I guess I had a thought on that too. So it totally makes sense that you would go to the companies that are doing that here because like they have all the information. And when you're offering, hey, we can help immediately, especially if you're having all these sleepless nights and you have too much business, which I mean, unfortunate, but it sounds like that's true. Is there not like is there like a process maybe in place where like, hey, like I need to follow up with this person or he's gonna get back to you. But it seems like if I was a business owner, I would I would jump at the chance to have somebody come in here and help me, especially as it relates to people here. And so
Yeah,
was
we
that
yeah,
did you
that's
get
something.
kind of that
Yeah,
response?
so we're pursuing that. Not everybody's as open minded as we are. I would say, at least to shared business and to passing referrals. Um, you know, Maybe that's something we do need to look into and try a bit harder. But just some of the responses that we're getting are not exactly, you know,
We
I'm
thought
not even
this.
sure how to word it. But yeah, they're saying they have a problem, but um, maybe it's not that big of a problem to where they need, to pass that business to somebody else. So
Um, so I feel like I know what I need to know to start talking about
Yeah,
some
go for it.
options or
I,
things. Do you have any other questions that
no,
you for Nick?
you're
I
in the
mean, we'll
driver's
ask
seat.
more questions
You're in
over
the
there,
driver's seat,
but
and I'm excited to go along for the ride. But I do have some financial things that just, we're trying to cover both sides of the business, marketing and finance. But for now, I think, yeah, take over.
so Nick, had you been to Hawaii and Maui in particular before you came out here?
I've been to Hawaii, not to Maui specifically.
And where in Hawaii had you visited?
I believe Honolulu. It was several
Okay.
years back.
Yeah. So Hawaii is a very different animal than the mainland. And it's very much like we're this very isolated island community. And it takes some time to get into sort of the trust zone here. But especially for the small businesses here, it is very, very difficult to do business here because cost of living is high and people don't make very much money. And so it's a struggle for people in small business and they tend to like hold on to that very, very tightly. So I suspect that when you talk to some of these small business owners that also are trying to help with remediation, they're committed to the community. They are. They want to do good work for their neighbors and family and friends, and they want to make sure that people get back into their homes very quickly. But they're not willing to give up the opportunity of future business. And so I suspect that if they truly understand that this is just something you do, and if you can show social proof from previous disaster recovery efforts down in Florida, those sorts of things where you went in, you helped, and then you left. I think that this is a really nice way to tie the phantom piece of your branding in when you're having these conversations with the local businesses is, hey, we truly are here to help. We're here for this short period of time because we've seen these disasters, not necessarily fire, but natural disasters are what they are. And there is this fallout where the capability of the local community is insufficient. Like there's just not enough bandwidth to deal with the magnitude of loss and disaster. And so that is what your company does. You have this whole section of your company, this whole team that goes into these disaster areas, and you're literally the phantom. And today we have a guest named Nick from Phantom Solutions. Ugh. And today we have a guest named Nick. He's from Phantom Solutions. And today we have a guest named Nick. He's from Phantom Services out of North Carolina. Disaster rescue team. You come, you help, you fix things, you do whatever is necessary to help people get back to their regular lives and recover from these disasters. And then you move on to the next disaster. And so you want to be partnering with these local companies because you come in, you do the work, but these people that you're helping, the locals that you're helping, they're going to need contractors on an ongoing basis to step back in after the sort of emergency is over. And I suspect that if you can portray that to the local businesses here, you'll get more traction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely does. Yeah, I totally get that.
And so wait, just to be clear, so you're saying when he's talking to this, make sure they know, hey, we're in to do our specialty, we're here to help, and then we're gone?
Y-
Or like,
And right. And we want to make sure that we're partnering with local businesses so that when we leave, you're not going to leave a mess. But if you're doing roof repair and it's temporary, a roofer is going to need to come in and do that roof. And
well,
so if you are partnered with roofing companies who maybe are backed up for 3 to 6 months, hey, we're here. We'll tarp the roofs. We'll get you everything ready to go. And then we'll hand this business back to you so that these people can be in their homes until you can come and do the final process. We're not going to be here to do their final roof repair. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help fill the gap during this disaster.
Yeah, mitigate the issue, and then the restoration side is kind of left to the others. That's the plan. But yeah, definitely probably putting something together where we're able to portray that better to the people that we're calling and getting in touch with is definitely a good idea.
And you might even want to actually print up some little brochures or something easy that you can just hand them so that they can look over it and then get back in touch with you. That sort of details that how that works. The other thing is, have you guys done social media? Have you started like, when you were in Florida and you did disasters before, did you do social media about that? Facebook, Instagram, showing the good work that you were doing and getting that social proof from the people that you helped.
Not necessarily, because I'm the owner of the company and I'm actually out doing the work.
Mhm.
Um, it's pretty difficult for me
yeah.
to do that. So
I get
we
it.
even like setting up a website. We have a marketing team that works on those sort of things, but to be able to do marketing and to set things up quick in different states, it's not quick. It takes several months, at least several weeks to be able to get a presence online, to do some of the marketing that we do back at home, for the other side of the business. But yeah, maybe doing more things on Instagram and Facebook and just posting about it. That would help with branding, you know, us in general, but I'm not sure how much business that would actually bring in here, for instance, in Hawaii.
It may or may not result in calls, but what it'll do is it'll help that trust factor. And
Mm.
so if you even if you were to and it looks like the Phantom Contractors is very purpose specific and location and it is what it is. But even if you had one page that was specifically disaster remediation,
Mm.
you could take photos of your team in disaster zones. You could get testimonials of helping people, but you can post that and then you've got a place for it to go. So you are showing that you're a legitimate company, that you're established, that you have an office, and that this disaster recovery activity is part of your business. It's what you guys do. It's how you reach out to communities and sort of pay back the benefits that you've had from being a successful business owner.
And some of the stuff we were talking about last night in regards to this is some of this stuff may or may not help because it's so immediate. Like you said, it's like this happened, you're putting things together, you're out here and you're kind of it depending on how many of these you've done before, it sounds like a few, but probably not like 10 or 20 of these. So it's
No.
still sort of new. I I
Yep.
guess our thought was like you have to look at this sort of as a learning opportunity as well. It's like, hey, we may not make bank here, but we're gonna learn whole bunch of
Yeah.
lessons that's gonna pay off like tenfold in Florida or the next one. And you might even be able to position yourself way above your competitors, not right now, but in the very near future is like, hey, here's our, like, this is a very new line of business. We have this, and then we have this disaster rescue program it's very unique, it's very specialized, and we're experts at this. And so again, it's like, yeah, you may not see that return instant on this particular thing, especially Maui being Maui. And I think Joel still keep talking about that, but it's just a great opportunity to learn for the future and using the strategies and learning lessons this time.
And even if you were to talk to the people who do your website now and put up the Phantom Disaster Recovery Team or something like that, but make it very specific that it is for recovery. And then you've got a time frame. You're going to be there for this long. There are disasters everywhere. Look what's happening to Florida. Look at all of the fires along the Northwest. It will look good for your contracting company, for the Phantom Contractors, because you're giving back to communities around the nation. And it will give legitimacy to the activities that you're doing in disaster zones where people are inherently distrustful and they've gone through a loss. We all operate as if we're in this very safe world. And here in the United States, we're very lucky because for the most part, it is this very safe world for us. And then these natural disasters come through that are usually beyond anything that anybody imagined would ever happen to them in their lifetime. And they're so thrown for a loop, and any kind of emotional or mental dissonance is going to make them way less trusting than they would typically be. Um, and so I think that's part of it too, is that having that appearance across the board that's very consistent that says, hey, we're here to, as a rescue team, to do relief for this disaster. And we're partnered with local companies to help get people back in their homes. And then we're headed to Florida.
And so is this like a separate brand? It's like a
It would be like a sub brand, just like, so he's got Phantom Services LLC, and then he's got Phantom Contractors, which is the crawl spaces and those sorts of things. But a lot of the skills and certifications that you do for that are probably really great for disaster remediation as well, right? Waterproofing, vapor barriers, those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're certified in that. I actually have a background in restoration work as well. I'm a certified.
You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go. No, you're not.
Oh, sorry. So
That's
I
okay.
was saying, I'm not sure where you guys lost me. I was getting another call.
Y-
Sorry.
You're
Um,
saying that you're certified.
yeah, so we're certified, um, water, fire, and mold assessors and remediators. So we have certifications for all of those, as well as, for for crawl spaces and all the other things that we do back at home. But yeah, I really like what you're saying. That's definitely something that um, we need to pursue and just start documenting a lot of the journey and kind of what we're doing and even photos with the locals and just talking about what we're here to do. I think is a good idea and definitely we'll start to try to implement that. I'm not very big on social media and I'm not very familiar with it either. So, what I may do is just start taking photos and videos just on my camera roll and probably hire somebody else to start putting that stuff together and um, building that brand or brand awareness out right now.
And so does the marketing company that you work with, and I'm sorry, it's in North Carolina?
Yes,
The marketing company that you work with back in North Carolina, it looked like they're a franchise agency. So do they do social media?
they, I don't know. I'm not even
Okay.
sure. I know we have them run our website and our ads and the articles that they put together and stuff like that for us. So
Got it. Um, so after this, if you need help finding somebody with the social media side of things, we can assist with that to a certain extent. It's not a service that we necessarily do with my company, but there are companies here in Maui that do it, and then there are national companies that do it. And since you're kind of going to be doing this all over, working with a larger company that specializes in that would probably be really beneficial. Um, but for right now, if you've got a Facebook account for the business, start posting. And then you can boost those posts for this area. And that I could help you with if you wanted assistance with it. But it'll start getting
okay.
your name out there and then yes, take photos with the locals and ask them to share their experiences with you because that goes a long, long ways. And then again, the talking to the local companies and make it very clear, hey, we're planning on leaving around this date. Um, you know, in the meantime, we're here to just help get people in their homes and minimize any kind of further damage.
You were even saying something yesterday that even because I was explaining to you that Nick and your worker, you guys have like a really nice black uniforms and black hats, I think. And so you were saying that that might turn off the local, right?
You know what? I think anywhere else in the United States, that's probably really great, and people are excited to see somebody who's very, like, clean cut, but you're probably noticing here in Hawaii that it's, like, steel-toed shoes and most of the time, like, high vis, bright yellow, bright orange shirts, and, that's kind of what the construction and all of those workers wear here.
Do you think that's a trust thing though? If you were to show up at a door wearing that,
I do. I think you would look more like a local, and they would be less like, "Oh, who are you?"
that's
Yeah,
something to think about.
yeah, absolutely. We've noticed that as well. We're pretty happy with the turnout that we got in this neighborhood.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, definitely that's something that we were even talking about with the gentleman you met yesterday, um, about just even maybe dressing up in our work clothes because obviously we have work clothes, and that might be a good idea. Just saying, hey, we're pretty much ready to rock and roll. We're not anything special, but we are
We're
here to
here to
help.
work.
So
But it
yeah,
sounds too though, you've had six like 10 people or at least 10 callbacks. Like so that I feel like that's pretty successful. I mean, that's a lot of doors, but you're getting business. And so it seems like developing those partnerships is great locally and you would want to do that going forward. But at the same time, it's like that's how bad people need it here is like, yes, like we trust, like we know that you're not even from here and we're willing to put our trust in you. So that's pretty great. I mean,
yeah.
that just shows that the
Level of
dire
need.
level of need, the urgency here to get these
I
things
mean,
fixed.
I'll say we're not knocking the door and saying, hey, we're not from here.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily telling people that, but we are, we're saying, hey, we're here to help. This is what we can help you guys with, and you guys let us know if you need it. And there's a pretty good response. Everybody's been super kind. We've knocked plenty of doors in the past, so we know what the reactions typically are. And I'll be honest, here the reactions have been almost all positive,
Right.
almost no negative interactions, and nobody's been threatening or uh, telling or yelling or anything like that. So it's all been very friendly. Where it's been a good experience so far.
How long are you guys staying for this part of it?
So typically when we get into an area, we give ourselves about a week to drum up some business and see where it goes and what happens. This is day 2 for us. We'll go out and service those estimates and see if we can lock in some more jobs. And we have set numbers that we want to reach. For instance, just an example would be we need a certain amount of these type of jobs for us to extend our stay here another week.
Right.
So we're already pretty close to that goal. We'll just see if these things and these estimates actually turn into business and can keep us busy. Because I'm sure you guys can imagine, even in Florida, but Hawaii specifically, it's not exactly cheap to stay and to
Yeah.
run everything. So we want to limit ourselves and not kind of step on anybody's toes as well. And exactly what you were saying is just we're in and we're out. We're here to help. If there's people that need help, we'll help them out. If there isn't, you know, we'll move on to the next.
And so did your CPA, or do you guys like clearly you guys put together some kind of numbers and calculations? 'Cause I was curious about that myself. Is like at some point, like you have to hit a certain number for it to make financial sense. And then what happens if you have like 2 or 3 commitments, but it didn't make financial sense because like there was just not enough people? It's like, do you still come out or do you hand those over to somebody else? Like at what point like, were you working
Yeah.
things out with your CPA or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that great question. So it depends what those commitments are. If it's a tarp or a temporary roof, we'll service those clients ourselves. Now, if it's restoration work where it takes several days, maybe even a week or two, we'll pass those off to a local business because those do take longer. Uh, that's kind of how we gauge it. And if it's something we can handle ourselves, we'll handle it ourselves.
And do you know from like a materials and supplies perspective, would you just ship everything here? Cause like, it's like we got like Home Depot and like that's it. Like, there's probably
Lowe's.
like Lowe's and
These
a
have
couple
one.
Aces, but given what just happened, I got to imagine that materials are either pricey or hard to come by. And so would you just ship everything here or like,
Yeah, so we ship something out right away, so we can service one client at a time right now with the machines that we have here for fire restoration. If that, if we outgrow that within the next week, we have people on standby. We have a whole logistics team back on the mainland ready to put everything together, and we'll have everything ready to go within a week. So we've done this before, so we know what it takes and how it works. Obviously, Hawaii is much different, and we're flying things down here rather than shipping them or driving them down. But we have a couple neat connections that are able to put things together and get everything we need out here. As in regards to materials, Home Depot's pretty good. We were
mm,
thinking to even grab or have 100 tarps sent with us, but after talking with a couple people here, there's plenty of supplies in Home Depot and Lowe's right now to cover the need that we're seeing right now.
That's great and quite unexpected.
Yeah.
Very nice. Um, I mean, it sure sounds like you guys did the legwork and preparation to come out here, which is really, really great. I do really think that you need a page for disaster,
mm,
and a brand, a sub brand specifically for this, given that it sounds like this is something that you're putting a lot of time, energy, and money into. Um, and then a communication plan. So a communication plan when an emergency hits, when you decide you're going to start being in that area, and then how you run those ads. And I know here, Facebook and Instagram are kind of the way to do that. Uh, Google to a certain extent, but very much the social media side of things here. Um, but I think it would probably help you tremendously with the trust issue here. But then
yeah.
every disaster that you serve from here on, it'll just make it that much easier.
And so I was
Right.
curious, like, is it a race? Not like a sort of a race, like to go knock on all these doors. Like, are the other companies, that in Florida or wherever else, it's like that's what they're doing as well. And so it's like we want to get there first. Like, how does that work?
I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with what other companies are doing.
Right.
We are just, I've owned multiple business before this, and I know one of the best ways to get into the local community is knock on doors and meet people and see people. Um, so that's what our game plan was. I know it's old school, but it's the fastest way to get business and to start making some connections. Um, I don't, it didn't seem like people were getting very many knocks on their doors from other companies doing similar things here, just because it seems like the people here on the island are so backed up that there's not a need for them to go out and do the business because they've been established. People can look them up on Google, whereas we don't have that. So we go out to all the people who aren't getting serviced by these companies, and we're trying to pick up kind of the 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 pieces of everybody that's left behind, or somebody that calls a week too late or 2 weeks too late, and now they're 6 months out and they can't go back to their house. So um, I'm not sure what the competition is doing, I guess, to answer your question, but that's kind of what we do right now. Um, Definitely gonna put some time and energy into putting, that online presence together, whether that's on Facebook or putting a second page or maybe even a second website together, to do that. And that's something we'll have to talk about with my marketing company, and see kind of what they think is going to be the best option. Um, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I definitely would talk to your marketing company about that because a page and being able to have a map that shows all the disasters that you've been a part of, that you've gone and helped with photographs and sort of an overview of the assistance you provided will go a very long ways in um, establishing that credibility with people in the disaster zones.
Right. I can't remember if I told you this yesterday when I met you, Nick, but like I had a home in Denver and we get like hailstorms all the time. And right after the hailstorm, like you get the people going through the neighborhood to knock. And it was like, it's my first home. I'm just, I don't know you. You're knocking on my door and I don't know you. And it's like, it's weird because it's like, I know I need help. I know my roof needs to be inspected, but I don't know these people. And really all that really came down to was trust. Like in that short experience, that short exchange, like could you do anything to improve trust? And sort of like every single thing needs to be on point for somebody to say like, yes, like certain words are like, hey, this is no charge. We're happy to, like, we're here to like not make a sale. We're here to make sure you're okay. And we were very happy, like not charging for like whatever has to be done. But yeah, like it comes down to that trust when you're doing these kinds of things, at least my experience.
And I do
Yeah,
think that
that
comes down to consistency.
yeah. So with that being said, we have people who used to do door to door sales as their full job. The gentleman here now has not well over $1,000 or $1,000. 30.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. Like you were talking about the gentleman and something, it just sort of cut out.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I can't hear you guys.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Hang on.
Maybe you're on mute.
No, we're definitely broadcasting. Um,
No,
Nothing?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. Okay,
So
so we cut off right around the time where you were talking about that you employ people who have done the knocking on doors thing as a full-time job.
yeah, so we have a pretty unique uh way of approaching the people in the neighborhood. Maybe not unique. I'm sure pretty much every other company that does similar work does it, but there's a way to kind of break the ice without just saying, "Hey, we're here. We want to do your roof." I don't know if you guys would want to shadow us and see what we do, but yeah, I think out of 250 doors, 10 set appointments, that's a pretty good number to aim for. However, off that sounds, when you're doing door to door sales, that's actually pretty good.
That sounds
You
good.
know, yeah. So
Okay.
Um, hmm. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we can do that would be of assistance for you. If you if you do end up doing the social media posts and everything, if you'll let us know, we'll share and
Yeah.
and help get that out in the community. And then boosting from a local perspective as far as you can just boost for Maui, or just Lahaina. And that would work really well because it'll ensure that people that are in that area see those posts.
Right. And I'll just step in here too, Nick, and it's probably, I don't know if your accountant's ready for this or if you even have the bandwidth to do this, but when this is sort of like a new line of business for you, you have like the crawl space remediation and then you do certain other things like this rescuing um, line of business, like that's a new line of business for you if you decide to kind of pursue this and stuff. And so like on the accounting side of it, under your chart of accounts, at least for me, I would want to set up very separate accounts for all of your expenses, all of your revenue for that, the labor and the hard costs that go into that, the materials. And that way, over the course of, again, like can all be done in this one time, but over the course of this sort of journey that you're on, you're going to start to be able to see those trends and gross margins and be like, okay, do we need to make adjustments here in terms of like traveling or materials? We'll buy it here. Like once you're able to separate those numbers out from all of the other lines of business, you'll be able to make very informed decisions. So just like maybe you're doing that already, but that would be like my advice to you and your account.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that.
And mine would be to just put together a communication plan and that brand page so that when these things happen, it's always urgent. And so it's just you pull the communication plan out and you just start checking through the things and getting them done. And that way when you go to people's stores, they'll recognize you.
Yeah.
Mm. Appreciate your time,
Yes,
Nick.
we
Yeah.
do. I hope that some of our recommendations were helpful. Um, and reaching back out to the local companies and just being very clear that you're here for a very like limited amount of time and you're looking to partner with these local companies to help just get people back in their homes will probably work really nicely.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. All very helpful advice. I like to pride myself on taking advice and actually implementing it. So we'll definitely do some legwork and do some more research into all those things. And we'll probably put something together over the next couple of weeks. And hopefully that helps drive some brand awareness and some business.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and good luck here. I'm
Yeah.
super impressed with how much you guys have done and the success that you're having. So kudos, like that's very impressive. Last night when I was doing the sort of the background check on the websites, I was like, wow. And even you said when you came in, very sharp website. And
Yeah, it's very nicely
you
done.
guys are doing good stuff here. So we appreciate you coming to help Maui.
Yes. Thank you for helping
Yeah.
our community and the
No, yeah,
disaster
absolutely.
communities around the nation too.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thanks.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. So this will be the post-mortem. So we've had a few days to kind of just think about our talk with Nick and Phantom Services. And so we'll just talk about some of the takeaways and in terms of what we can do better, maybe what we thought we could have done better for him, and just sort of think about that. And so my first takeaway was I need to learn to do our intros better.
Or maybe just let me do it.
I don't know why I can't do it.
Sure.
It happens so fast.
It's so hard.
How do I get? I think it's because I call you Jill, and then you're always like, "No, I'm Jillian." So then it was like, I just
It's short circuits.
like the pressure of the moment.
And then you
Okay, I get too
Oh.
confused with my other girlfriend.
Excellent.
Okay, so our goal here is to help people. And I thought we did a really good job with Nick. I thought Nick was doing a really, really good job. He did so much work to get out here. He really just wanted to help people here. And he first went to the businesses to try to see if he could offload some of their load, like in terms of let's get these people back in their houses as soon as possible. And it seemed like he didn't have a lot of success. with that? At least like we didn't really talk to him too much about that, but it seemed like, right? Did you get that from him?
I got that impression from him to a certain extent, but I also feel like I went into the interview with that assumption based on the conversation that you had had with Nick and his partner at the end the previous day.
Right.
So I don't know how much issue they had had with local businesses being receptive to the offer of temporary help to sort of get over the hump, the disaster. But as we were talking about, I think that all of the issues, all of the difficulties that he was running into, they're all a marketing issue. All of it is a marketing issue because it's about having a place where people can go and see the legitimacy of the business
Right.
and having a voice in the community that you're serving where they can see that you're there helping, which social media is by far the best way to do that in a very short period of time
Right.
because those paid advertisements are so location specific.
Right.
And then possibly having something as simple as a brochure or something like that that you could just hand the businesses that you were looking to partner with or email the businesses that you were looking to partner with so that they had it and they weren't having to make a snap decision on the phone.
Right.
And so they had framing before the conversation and after the conversation. Hey, this is a differentiator for you and your contracting business. We're here to make you look great by taking care of the locals that you don't have the capacity to help right away that really need to get back in their homes. And then we'll hand the business back over to you. You will look like a superhero and we will be on to the next disaster.
Right. I think too, you brought it up is you can make a web page. Like you can make a web page in a day. Like when you go to this site and like you're saying, it's all marketing, it's all branding. But when you are going to places that are it's not your area and they don't know you, like there's not a lot to go on, especially in Maui when that bad things just happened. It's like I don't know if I would like that trust that the trust is so hard to come by, even if you hit everything perfect. Like you have to develop your brand, like going forward, like you said, like you have to have a web page. Like I think you have a whole site that's dedicated, but you think it could just be one page. But either way, like if you're here for a week or 2 weeks, like you can have your team, like as you were saying, like we could put up a page in a day and you put up, and I'm a big fan of when you have a website, you got to put up an about section with your picture, unless it's some like huge corporation. But even so, they have it too. It's like people need to see who they're dealing with. They need to see just like how friendly they look. Oh, how professional like they look. Like they need to read a little bit of a bio, just like what's your history, what's your passion, like what are your values? Because that's what people are looking for before they make a big ticket purchase or become a business partner. Is who am I going to business with? Who's going to be on top of my roof or in my house? And if there's no picture of you, and I don't think there was when I went to the Phantom Contractors website, and then there's no website for Phantom Services. And so then there's like this confusion there. And then they're going to his website, and his website is just crawl spaces because they haven't yet built this out. I mean, that's a problem right there in terms of marketing. It might just be this trivial for him. Well, that advice isn't helping me right now.
Sure.
Nope, it's not. But it will help you in the next hurricane. And like if you are really consistent with your branding and you got to get on social media and you got to build your brand. And the more you do that, nobody is perfect in their first one or two tries at something, but it's this consistency over time to know that, hey, this Phantom Services has shown up every single disaster for the past 2 years and they're helping. And here's the pictures and here's their testimony and here's where they're doing good in the community by doing this. Then all of a sudden, hey, here's our website, go look at it. And people are already signed up. And I'll let you talk for a little bit, but I was hoping to maybe talk about the 250 knocks on the door and you're getting 10 successes, which he was saying that's good. So it's 4%. But I got to think too, when you're building up a brand and you're doing the social media, there are ways to get your name out there in the unfortunate event of a disaster where you can send them these ads and people can go look at the websites and all of a sudden like they're booking the calls and now you're booked up weeks in advance. You know what I'm saying? Is like all of these other companies were booked up 3 months in advance. It's like they weren't even knocking on doors. People just started calling them. Well, now if you're marketing yourself correctly and you can throw in ads when you see these things, now maybe you're booked up and you don't, and Nick and his team doesn't even have to come out here, right? Maybe. I mean, I guess to do an estimate or something, but wouldn't they also just sort of like, oh, we'll book you. Like we know what you can do. We know you'll be out here. Like let's schedule a time to come check out our place.
I'm sorry, I got lost there. Who are they scheduling with that Nick and his team are coming to the disaster?
Like if Phantom Services has built up an online presence and you're able to, when a disaster happens and you're able to roll out ads in that neighborhood, in that area, when people make you're giving me this weird look like I'm not making sense. But in my head it makes sense. It's like when you go to LinkedIn or Facebook or something or whatever ad or Instagram, it's like, hey, we're rescue services. We're coming to your area to provide relief for restoration, for fire, smoke, flooding, whatever. Give us a call and we'll make sure to go over there. It's like now they don't have to go knock on doors to get leads.
Yes, the team still has to come here and take care of the disaster damage. Like they are still traveling to
Yeah, I
wherever.
know, but the whole lead thing,
But yes, you don't. They could actually have their team land on the ground and be doing good work instead of going door to door knocking on doors.
that's I think you said it in way lesser words than I think, but that was my point though. Is
Yes, I 100% agree with that, and that would be the whole objective. The other
right,
thing is that then when Nick is going to talk to these local businesses, those referrals are going both directions. They're bringing value, even greater value to those local contractors because like we've got 60 appointments lined up for the next 2 weeks.
right,
Some of this stuff we'll be able to complete while we're here. A lot of it, they're going to need a contractor to complete the job. We're just going to get it to the people in their back in their house.
right,
And then all of a sudden, instead of going to a local business and saying, hey, share your business with us,
right,
they're going to local businesses and saying, hey, we've already got business to send to you
right. Both ways.
once you're caught up.
Both ways.
Yeah,
But you have to have that.
you do.
You have to have that built up. And it's going to take a few times to go. And really, my thought would just be like, that's why you hire somebody like you. That's why companies like you sort of give it away when you do your web designs.
I know.
You give away the marketing strategy, but that's the moneymaker because like we kind of did this free strategy session, but like all you need is like one or two conversions from doing something you did and building up that brand. And all of a sudden it's like,
Pay-
wow, I just got this crazy increase of revenue, this whole new line of business. Like now we're just getting this influx of customers because we talked to somebody at the beginning. And it's the same reason why you would hire somebody like a fractional CFO at the beginning or somebody who's an expert at the beginning. And because they're setting you up for success at the beginning versus you kind of spinning your wheels and your time and your money.
And not only that, but you and I talked about this too. This is an opportunity for Phantom Services to receive nationwide attention. And so if Nick is looking at the possibility of expanding his company, franchising for additional location, any of those things, this would be a great lead into that.
Mhm. I typed in rescue restoration on the internet and it was like, it was Oahu. They did that, but it was like just for Oahu. And
Yeah.
then Premier Restoration, which is one of Maui's restoration services, that came up second. And so they're local, and I think they're staying local. But if somehow you're like you named it and it came up in your searches somehow,
It probably wouldn't come up in the Google searches like what you're talking about, but I feel like that's where those local business partnerships were when you're heading into a region. You're just going down the list and you've almost got a call script where you're calling, like, hey, I have people coming in. We've already got 40 appointments booked for the next 2 weeks. We're coming in for this period of time. these are our capabilities. We would love to trade business back and forth with you because we're going to need contractors to finish out the jobs once people are back in their homes and squared away. And you guys are probably overwhelmed by the magnitude of the disaster you're dealing with.
Right.
Let's take some of that off of your plate temporarily.
Right.
And it would just be this really easy. And most of those calls, most of all of that stuff could be done before they ever landed.
Right. And then I was even thinking too, like, and then if you're looking at it that way, do you not maybe hit up BNI remote chapters in sort of disaster prone areas like the Midwest with tornadoes, or maybe like, I don't know, Denver with blizzards and hailstorms and stuff. And so you're just hitting up the local BNI chapters and you're sort of just making your presence known. Like, hey, once a month, let's just go like send somebody in a Zoom meeting for an hour, and it's probably not going to pay off, but it, like immediately, but it's like, oh, the next time a hurricane or something rolls through there, they have a connection who has a connection. It's like, oh, as a matter of fact, we know this Phantom Services of all they are really good at. Like they do a lot of things, but what they're great at is they they go help disaster locations, and they help out and they fill in the gaps, and then they leave the business to
The local
the
business.
existed the local business. And it's a very fantastic partnership that they have. So yeah, go check them out.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's called seeding, and it's a really great idea.
And so do
Really is.
marketing, when you say seeding, do marketing, if you're paying a marketing team thousands of dollars a month or a year, like they should come up with that idea.
They should. Although they aren't going to be able to go and visit BNI for you at the time, just because of the way BNI and many of those referral organizations, like that's not how that works. But nonetheless, just the fact that the BNI chapters have seen Nick, heard him,
Right.
know what he's about, all of a sudden, you're right. When those disasters happen, it's not, oh, who are these people? Hey,
You
I
can't,
recognize that
yeah,
guy.
he came out here like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like the normal BNI stuff where it's like a product or a service. It's just like, I mean, it's a service, but it's something that really only comes about when there's sort of an emergency. And it would be like, oh, remember that team that came over here was really like, they just wanted to help out the community. And so while we weren't, I feel like what you were able to offer Nick on that strategy call was, you could probably, like, they probably had some benefit here, like changing the clothes and some of your presentations and how you word things. But really the value is like long term, which marketing and branding is. Like even any brand, like Coca-Cola, Nike, the very first week Nike had the check mark, probably nobody cared about the check mark. And now look at this, where the swoosh is. It's not a check mark, it's a swoosh now. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, branding and marketing are sort of three functions, right? Get the name out there so that people know who you are, what you do, and why they should trust you. And then the communication that we talked about, where when a disaster happens, there's the yes or no decision. Are we going to go there, or if we're going there? Great. Here's the communication plan. Start going through it. Queue up the social media posts. Get everything ready to go. The ads, like
right.
do all of that groundwork to start communicating all these things. Start calling all the local contractors, touch base, see how they're doing.
It's a lot of work. If you're a small business, like you got to be paying, right? You got to be paying in marketing, because like you're not paying a full-time marketing person to do all this in-house unless you're reaching that like probably $5 million mark or somewhere up there. That's not where a lot of small businesses are at. And so I don't know, I feel like we're offering good advice. I don't know how entertaining it was listening to it. Like we kind of listened to it again a second time just to be sure, I guess, like everything's okay for radio or podcast or radio. But I think there's some good ideas in there.
I do too.
I
Like
don't,
you're saying, I don't know if it's going to be broadly applicable for people, but the branding piece is.
yeah,
And for any business that's looking at operating short term in different areas, a lot of the things we talked about are key things.
right. And then I remember one story where it was we won't get into details, but it was like somebody wanted you to quote a website for them, and you gave them the quote, and their response was, "Huh, like if I don't get the desired outcome, do I have to pay you the whole amount?" And it was honestly it's sort of laughable because it's like one, you're developing the whole product. It's like you sold somebody a pair of shoes. If they're not able to win at basketball, you don't have to give them a refund or something. It's like you delivered a product and it's the end product. Like this is what you paid for. Just like your responsibility is to market it. Your responsibility is to put in all the work involved in seeding and ads and running the ads and putting so like understanding what is a good ad and how to hook people and funnel it. You don't understand that, like that's on you. And then like people could come to you and say, like, how do I do all this? And then you can do that. But it's that like when that happened, it's like it was kind of amusing. And so to be able to provide this advice in action, people can understand now what's the real value in marketing. Like even if he had maybe a great website, you still have to put in the work marketing. You still have to put in the ads and all the legwork and building that brand and delivering and all of
Again, I completely agree with all of those things. However, just building out that communication plan, putting the website up, and then building out the communication plan, which would include all of the social media posts and everything,
right.
it would be very fast. I mean, you would probably be able to get all of your marketing, everything lined up for the emergency in a 2-day period. And then it would just be put in the photos, update the text to highlight customers. But you would be able to do it very efficiently. Now, one of the things that I want to make sure that we talk about here is we're all about helping businesses do better at what they do. But we're also all about helping communities.
Right.
And so when we're talking about how you line up these marketing campaigns and those sorts of things, if it sounds automated or structured, it's because it has to be in order to be efficient. On the flip side, we would never take a strategy session with a business that we felt was going to treat our community poorly ever.
What? I
Would
feel like
you?
we maybe to like prank them, right?
I'm not pranking anybody.
To waste their time and
Well,
and
mine's
everybody will be
no,
driving down the street and everybody would think we're heroes.
no, no, no. We've got more important things to be doing with our time.
Something that could be fun.
Okay. I'm not denying that it could have entertainment value, but nonetheless,
Okay.
we're definitely committed to not only helping businesses do better business, but benefiting our community and all of the communities that the business to serve. And so important to note that some of these things are tips and tricks, but they aren't tricky.
Right. No. No. And that what Nick is doing too is like when he's visiting these places, like you are hitting these people at a very vulnerable time in their lives where like some might be very untrusting, some are going to be angry, some might be so just out of it that they can make a really bad decision. And so, I mean, so they're relying on you to be who you say you are. That's why it's important to have that brand and that consistency and all that social proof because that's really what people have to go on nowadays. It's just social proof.
And the reality of the situation is that any time that you have desperation of any kind, you're talking people declaring bankruptcy, people hit with natural disasters, personal disasters, health issues, that always opens people up to a lot of predatory business practices. And that's why the communication plan, the website, the branding, all of those things are so much more important
Mhm.
in this kind of an arena because you are talking about people who are in distress. And so there is going to be so many predators out there trying to take advantage. We've seen it.
Yeah.
People masquerading as different nonprofits here in the community, all sorts of just horrible predatory things of people trying to take advantage. Nick clearly was not one of those guys. He was legitimately here to help the community. And so we just wanted to help make sure that he had all the information and sort of the plan going forward so that when he goes into these communities hit by disasters, he can do the absolute most amount of good.
Right. I think it was a good call, regardless of how many views it gets or how interesting it was. Like, I think it's a great information for him. And I think we talked about it before is like one of your biggest expenses has to be marketing because like it's one of the most important. It brings in all of your business. Like you think operations is the most important because that is what you're doing is like you don't have any customers at all unless you are getting your story out and you're doing a good job with that. And so you just have to hire a marketer. It's like know somebody that understands marketing strategy and it's not just they're out there throwing up ads because you can't just generate content for content's sake and website for website's sake.
No. And the website is a build it and they will come situation either.
Right.
So businesses require marketing. Whatever business it is. That marketing is just going to look a little bit different depending what the business situation is.
Right. All right. I feel like this is a good postmortem and on to episode 3.
Woot!